how can we still be outside and live a financially responsible life? How can we do that?
First and foremost, people need to have an outside category, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in their budget for whatever it is. Like I'm saying outside is like an umbrella term for entertainment. If you like to go to movies, like whatever your thing is, have a category or a line item in your budget. It's like, okay, cool. Like we already accounted for that. Give me another
Mm-hmm.
mimosa, please. Like it's already being taken care of.
Oh my goodness. You ain't lying though.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a.
What's up? What's up? You are now listening to FY Fly the podcast, and I'm your host Hassan Thomas, along with Remy, and we are here to share tools on how millennials can budget, save, invest, and understand student debt and credit to achieve financial freedom. If you're a high school student, college student, or someone who's interested in gaining more financial insight, this podcast is for you.
I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a bag. I'm trying to give me a.
What's up, my FY Fly folks out there? How y'all doing? I hope y'all doing all right. Welcome to the FY Fly podcast. My name is Hassan Thomas, aka the kid that did and the man that can, baby. And today, we're going to be chopping it up with public speaker, certified financial educator, and the founder of Gage Street Society, Miss Fre Greene. How are you? How are you?
I'm great. How you feeling?
I'm good. You know, I had to turn you up, had to bring that excitement, bring that energy, because we about to have a great show today, ain't we?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, me and Free, we originally met at FinCon, but we're no longer there. Now we at FY Fly, and what we like to do, we like to skip the fluff and get right into the good stuff. How that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, man. So the first thing that I want to know, were you always good with money, or was it like a turning point in your life where you were like, okay, now it's time to get right?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. So I quickly learned, like in high school, as three things were happening in my life simultaneously. I got my first job, I opened my first bank accounts, and my mom bought me like a used Toyota Camry. And so that was like my entry into somewhat adulthood. You got your own money coming in and things of the sort. But I was like, okay, I need to learn how to set up direct deposit, and now I got this $500 credit card, and what does that mean if I don't pay it off? So I would say over time, starting in high school up until now, and been about 15 years. Don't do the math. Black don't crack.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
Gradually over time, I just started picking up little things here and there that I was actually applying to my life. And that's what made it real for me, because unlike being in high school, you learn geometry, American Lit. I ain't taking none of that with me. Versus financial literacy, I was seeing the direct benefit of applying the stuff that I was learning. So to answer your question, it wasn't like a pivotal moment or like a turning point. It was just slowly but surely stacking up my knowledge over time.
And to what you just mentioned about, not learning, you're not taking anything from, regular school curriculum that you could apply to real life, but this financial literacy. So what would you say so far, what has been the biggest benefit of you knowing, understanding, and implementing the lessons that you've learned from being financially literate? Like, what's the biggest benefit you would say?
Two things. And oftentimes, this is a really good question because I think about this quite a bit. And I share this story with my coaching clients. The first thing is clarity.
Okay.
When I tell you the clarity that you receive by understanding your finances, and not just okay, I make this much, but I make this much, I spend this much. And then here's the other kicker. Is what I'm spending aligned with what my lifestyle, what I want it to be, or what my goals are, both financially and personally, right? So that clarity brings a sense of peace, right? And it can also provide you with perspective where it's like, okay, here's what I need to do to pivot and make my situation better, right? So clarity is the very first thing. The other thing that I would say is,
gotcha.
When you start implementing the things that you learn as it relates to financial freedom, your finances change, right? Your finances change, your lifestyle change, your mental health changes because you have money coming in and you're directing it to the right areas. You're understanding what brings you happiness as it relates to how you spend your money, and just the freedom that comes with that. The clarity, freedom, by far, are the two biggest things for sure.
Nah, I love those. Those are great reasons. That's why I asked you because I feel like when we're talking to people about, financial literacy, money management, all the information and all the gems is cool, but we really need to know like the benefits and like we need to know the pros and the cons of, one, doing that positive financial action, but we also need to know what happens if we don't. You said you worked your dream job and now you're living your dream entrepreneur life. So, since you have been in both spaces, what's been the biggest lesson that you've learned from those two career paths?
Listeners, hear me clearly. You have to be a steward of your finances, right? If we step back and think about it, your biggest brands, Amazon, Walmart, Tesla, they have accounting departments, they have financial planning and analysis departments. Like, they don't just make money in without a plan on how to spend it, right? And so take that from a corporate level to a household level, right? Your financial planning and analysis is essentially going to be like your budgeting, right? Because they have a plan on how they're going to spend their money. If
For
they're going
sure.
to take on debt, if they're going to take on debt for the month or for the year, or for the quarter, they have a plan on like, okay, how is this debt going to create an asset for me, right? So that I can make more money from it. And then when we talk about like accounting, they're accounting for where their money is going. So they're looking at their spending and saying like, okay, listen, we did a little bit too much, right? And that's actually happening in real time because unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of companies do a lot of layoffs. But the way that I think about that, the way that my brain processes that is that like during the pandemic, when demand was high for whatever they were selling, they had to hire a lot of people, right? But now that demand is kind of waning, there's talks of a possible recession in 2024, 2025. Now they're looking at their payroll and they're cutting back on that spending, right? And so taking some of those same perspectives and same like thought processes and implementing it from a corporate level to a household level is probably the biggest thing that I took with me for sure.
Got you. Kind of running your life as the CEO. You can never spend more money than you making. Just like a business can't do that because if a business did that, they won't be in business. So It's kind of like the same thing that you learned from running or being in those big corporations and then applying that lesson to your life, right?
Absolutely.
So after you get your initial, okay, I have these assets, I have this much in savings, I have this much income coming in, I normally spend about this much a month. Then after we got that, the initial next step would be start planning our life around our long-term goals or short-term goals, or do you do both short-term, long-term, or how do you kind of plan yours?
So I would look at like, okay, what are the goals that you want to accomplish in the next year? And then what are the goals that you want to accomplish beyond that, right? And so because I want to plan for both. And we also take a look at like, okay, here are the goals, but what's priority, right? Because if you tell me, if I have a client that comes to me or a husband and wife, and then the wife is 4 months pregnant, we got to prepare for baby, right? Like I know you trying to go, right? Like,
That's priority right there.
I know what you're trying to do 5 years from now, but we got to plan. So I first understand what the short-term and long-term goals are, but then also, and two, you're from the listener's perspective, write out like what your short-term and long-term goals are, and then place priority on them because that is what's going to give you direction on where to focus, right? And so if immediate short-term goal is I need to really start saving up for an emergency fund, let's just say $1,000, then okay, that's the goal for right now. That's the one we're going to focus laser in on. What do we need to shift in your spending so that you can contribute money every month to hit that $1,000 goal?
Got you. No, I think that's going to help a lot of people right there because like I said, like we mentioned in the beginning, I think, and I'm really happy that we're kind of focused in on the, the why piece and the goals because honestly, that's what matters. Like especially for everybody, the money is cool, whether we have a lot, whether we have a little, if we're comfortable and we're hitting our goals. When I was, speak to students, I always tell them, I'm like, you hitting your goals and accomplishing your biggest dreams, the money is just a byproduct of that.
Correct.
The real goal is to hit those goals and accomplish them, and the money will come from that. That's how I feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that like that's what brings and I always talk to my clients about like, what is going to leave you fulfilled, right? Like, yes, we're trying to accomplish this goal, but then recognize what that does to your nervous system. Like, how do you feel once you've hit that goal? Because that is what matters, right? It's, yes, we have the income, the money is coming in, you're shifting your spending habits and behaviors. And so you're seeing the direct positive benefit of that. And as a result of that, you're able to accomplish your goals and stuff. But that's what we're trying to get to, is you making sure that you're hitting those goals, because that's what's going to bring you happiness and fulfillment.
And let's go ahead and stay on this money wave. Let's go ahead and stay on talking about this bag, because this is FY Fly, a show about money, entrepreneurship, and investing. So can you give us a good money habit that you have, and also a bad money habit that we can cut off?
Let's see. So a good money habit that I have is, when it comes to credit cards, I treat my credit cards as like, not necessarily debit cards. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, but I do pay off my credit cards on a monthly basis. So I don't overextend myself from a month to
I
month
literally
basis.
got a reminder to pay my credit card today.
So, I have a budget category for like debt, and that's because oftentimes when we have credit cards, there's like travel rewards attached to it, different perks, right? And so there is a benefit of using credit in some aspects. So I use it, but then I kind of allocate a certain amount every month and then pay it off. So that's one good money habit I have.
So I started using my Navy Fed card. I opened up a Navy Fed account, got a credit card at the beginning of this year, and I was having a back procedure, and the procedure was like $2,000. So I put it on the credit card, and the thing is, like, you're gonna use the debit card anyways. You're gonna pay from that debit card account anyways. So you might as well use that credit card, get those cashback rewards, get those travel points, get all those, and raise your credit score from paying back. You're making on-time payments and paying that back with your debit card. So that's what I did. I literally used my credit card to pay that $2,000 for that back therapy. And then when I woke up the next morning, I seen I had $200 cash back just for, reaching that certain threshold, for because I opened the new card. So that's a huge benefit right there. We all love free money on here. So getting that money back that because we were gonna do it anyway. So we might as well take advantage of those things. So that's why I'm in full agreement of that good money habit. Just making sure that you're responsible. You set up automated payments, so you won't even have to really think about it. Because we have a lot going on. So if you can set up automated payments and at least take one thing off your plate, I think that's a win right there.
Yes, absolutely. And I think really quickly, the biggest thing that I see that trips people up is they use their credit cards without a plan or the money coming in to pay it off, right? So, and I know, things happen, right? We're human, right? So I don't want this to be like, oh, just do this. It's so simple, because oftentimes it ain't just that simple.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, try to limit the amount of times that you're using your credit card as a crutch, as opposed to using it as a tool for you. That is one of the biggest conversations that I have with my coaching clients, because it's just that shift in your mentality that is like, oh, okay, yeah, let me not use my credit card because I don't have the money, but let me instead use it because the money's coming in. I'm just, to your point, I want the points, or I want the cash back, right? So using it as a tool as opposed to a crutch.
Come on now. And we ain't forget about that bad habit. What you got for us?
Okay, all right. Let me see. Bad habit. So listen, I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. So I'm the type of person where, like, I like to be outside, especially during the summertime. Like, I live in the A, so it's always like festivals, restaurants, brunches, concerts, all of the things, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, my bad habit, like this summer, was I was just outside like every weekend, and outside is expensive, so I
time you
think
step out, it's $100, $200.
right. So for me, I was like overdoing it with the debit card, just budget blowing it. Like, there was just
you had and planned a budget for outside, But you just exceeded the budget for outside. Is that what it was?
Exactly. More times than I probably should have, right?
Mhm.
But also I I knew because I have clarity on like, okay, here's what I'm spending. So when it happens, I'm like, okay, like whatever, we human. But at the same time, now that it's a little bit colder and stuff ain't as open, I'm like, okay, now it's time to get some things in order and get back on track with that outside category because we inside now. It's cold and rainy.
So, what do you think? How can we still be outside and live a financially responsible life? How can we do that? Like,
That
what
is
you
a
gonna do
good
next year? What you gonna do next year to? Because we know we're gonna be outside. We know we're gonna have fun. But how can we still do that and be responsible?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think first and foremost, people need to have an outside category, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in their budget for whatever it is. Like I'm saying outside is like an umbrella term for entertainment. If you like to go to movies, like whatever your thing is, have a category or a line item in your budget for that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if it's not accounted for, then you're going to wonder why, okay, why am I overspending $600 every month? And it's like, well, sis, because you been at brunch every Sunday and you're not accounting for it. So, and this is an
Yeah.
inner dialogue with myself. But first, have a line item in your budget for those things that you really enjoy because I am not the coach that's going to tell you, like, I'm not the Dave Ramsey of it all. I'm going to say, like, okay, what is it that you enjoy? I'm not going to put you on like a strict budget. Like, let's find the things that truly bring you fulfillment and let's put them in the budget. Right now,
Yeah.
you may have to, like what I'll do, for example, next summer, right? I know around May, June, July, my budget balloons, right? It increases because we doing things and enjoying the weather. So I would adjust, I look at what happened this past summer, like how much over did I go? And then just recalibrate that line item for the summer months. Right. So maybe
Okay.
instead of giving myself an $800 budget, it's going to be 1,000, right? For that month or for those 3 months, however you break it down.
Makes sense. Makes
Yeah.
sense. And I feel like that kind of gives you that clarity, as you mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, of just understanding, okay, I know I like to have fun and that's okay. That's what I work hard for.
Right.
But I also work hard for my future self, also work hard for my future family to make sure that they're straight and that even though we're enjoying ourselves today, we're also prepared for tomorrow. So I think that's
Exactly.
where people can really start. Okay, I'm going hard right now, but I'm doing it intentionally because I know I have $1,000 for this month to turn up. So now I got what, 250 each week that I can really turn up with, and I think that's great for people. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I think that's a really good way to look at it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it allows, like, realistically, it allows you to, like, enjoy those things without having that guilt. It's like, damn, I'm over my budget. Or like, dang, I don't know where this money gonna come from. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've already figured it out. So now you're spending it. It's like, okay, cool. Like, we already accounted for that. Give me another
Hmm.
mimosa, please. Like, it is already being taken care
Oh my
of.
goodness. You ain't lying though. You ain't lying. All right. I love that perspective. I love everything that you talked about here today. It's definitely aligned, and that's why I was so happy that we were able to meet and connect, and it just felt so authentic and so genuine. So thank you, Free, for being on the show. If you have any final words, any final takeaways, go ahead and also let them know where to reach you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Gage, Gages Society. That's Gage Street Society on IG, as well as TikTok and YouTube. I got a lot of content coming up, so I'm very excited, but just tap in with me. Your financial safe space, Gage Street Society.
Come on, come on, come on. This was great. Again, thank you so much. And, for all our listeners, I know we talked about a lot of great gems here today, but if you can take one or two to really lock in with and apply today, I promise you, over time, those small habit changes that you made will yield large results over time. So, again,
Absolutely.
thank you so much. And all our listeners, stay safe, stay invested, and stay FYI fly. We'll see y'all next week.
Thank you all for listening to FY Fly the podcast, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week for more financial literacy insights with our special guest. Please visit our website, social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at FYI Fly Podcast. That's FYI FLI Podcast. See y'all next week and stay fly.